City Chiefs are champions of Super Bowl 54.
These guys are hungry for more. They are eager to win another one. They're not satisfied with that one title. They want more. They want to build a dynasty here.
Fires for the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. He lines it up. The kick is long enough. It is good.
Every conversation since the parade has been run it back and do it again.
Testament to the protocols that the league has in place. It shows that the protocols are working. So if players, or a player on the Patriots, a player on the Chiefs test positive, those players are isolated, we figure out where the problems are, and then you find a way to have football. And so for the health and safety, they're the priority here. For the protocols in place to be working, that's really encouraging for this league, for sure.
And it also allows the players to focus on what they need to be focused on, which is playing football, being on, making touchdowns, making receptions, making tackles, and not worried about all the other things that everybody else is worried about, all the protocols. We know that the stadium, the Chiefs are doing a great job. When fans come here, hey, you're going to be traced and tracked. Your tickets, you go through a certain amount of testing before you enter the stadium, even from all the equipment staff and all the people that work here, all the on-air hosts. It's so many layers of protection for everybody to feel able to get back to some normalcy. I think sports in general and what we're doing here at Arrowhead, having this game, it gets us back to doing what we love to do. Watch football, enjoy it, and let the guys just go play.
Absolutely. Huge testament to the league once again, and the Chiefs and the Patriots finding a way for this game to occur just with a one-game delay. And I'm excited. Monday Night Football here at Arrowhead. Now, Shawn, it feels like a million years ago the Chiefs last played. It was also a Monday Night Football against the Baltimore Ravens. Huge dominant win on the road against a team that many considered to be the second-best team in football. Coming into that game, the Chiefs go to their place and win by multiple touchdowns. Huge win there, but that's in the past now. It's a new challenge here tonight against the Patriots. And yeah, no Cam Newton, but it's still the Patriots. It's still Bill Belichick.
Man, Bill Belichick, Patriots, those two words are synonymous with winning, with legacy, with how do you create a decade of winning in the NFL. That's the way, the Patriot way. Now, the Chiefs have done it another way. We've created a family atmosphere here where family comes first. We don't worry about the one another, and Andy Reid has created that environment here in Kansas City, and everybody a part of this team has bought into it.
So you mentioned Andy Reid. We've talked about Bill Belichick. This matchup to me is exciting because it's two of the best coaches of all time coaching in this game. Bill Belichick, 306 career wins. That's third all-time. And Andy Reid, 225 career wins. That is sixth all-time. And Shawn, because I'm a nerd and can't help myself, I'm going to go through this list here of the most coaching wins of all time. Number 1 is Don Shula. We all know that. Number 2, George Halas. Number 3 is Bill Belichick, so that's incredible. Number 4, Tom Landry. Number 5, Curly Lambeau, who Lambeau Field is named after up in Green Bay. And then Andy Reid. So you think about that list. I mean, these are the best coaches of all time. I think sometimes when we're in the modern era here, we're used to Andy Reid, Bill Belichick. Sure, they're the best coaches of our era, but we got to remember here, these are two coaches ever, and we see them going against each other here at Arrowhead tonight.
Man, we talk about the NFL being a chess game, not checkers. You have two chess game minds of all time. The amount of football and scheme you field here tonight. So I'm excited Cam is playing, and that doesn't matter who far as players take the field, because you have such great minds on both sidelines, you know you're going to see a game played at a high level.
That's the thing. We'll get into this later, but with no Cam Newton, no Sony Michel as well, the Patriots, Bill Belichick, has something up their sleeve, as always, I'm sure. The thing with Andy Reid in this game, Patriots, Bill Belichick, one of the best defensive minds of all time. We all know that. 15 regular season games, the Patriots have allowed 40 or more points just 3 times. Good, just 3 times. All 3 times in Andy Reid, absolutely.
Well, Andy does a great job of understanding defensive philosophy and how to attack it. And when he and you see the shifts, the motions, you see the cheetah motion, ghost motions, where those things for a reason. He wants to see how the defense is going to react to those shifts in motion, because that's a different page of how to attack these defenses. And so Andy, initially, every game, he's just looking about how he's going to attack, and when he makes those adjustments, second quarter or second, hey man, you know that offense is going to get excited and that scoreboard is going to light up.
What's so interesting about that is he's really done that with 3 different teams. I mean, Mahomes, of course, a couple of those, but one of those rather, Alex, but really incredible what he's been able to do. He's a would not be surprised at all if we saw another 40-point game here tonight. Would love to see that with these 2 offenses. Who knows? Possible. All right, let's go over tonight's game really quickly. The first one's Chris Jones for the Chiefs. He is inactive, looking for maybe Mike Panetta back last week. Out of step up there in the middle of the defensive line.
Well, you said my man. He's one of my favorites now. But being from Missouri S&T, I think that's sack and tackle.
There you go.
So he does a great job. This and showing up and showed out. But we have such depth. You got to take your head off to Coach Reed, and you got to take your Brett Beach have done it, creating depth in our DNs. When it comes to our guys, our front 4, we go 7 or 8 deep. So that allows a guy like Chris to recover, recoup, and be ready for the. And that thing there 50-60%, allow it up. We can
Arrow Vision feed really feel like you were here. Let's see what Arrow. All right, we are back here at our Field Pass desk. Apologize for some technical issues there. Hopefully you guys can hear us loud and clear now. Shawn, we're going to jump right back into this. The inactives for New England. So these guys aren't officially inactive, but they've been placed on some separate lists where they can't play here tonight. And that's Cam Newton and Sony Michel, two huge parts of this offense. Cam Newton, of course, has played pretty well so far this season. Former league MVP. He's now the guy in New England, but he's not playing here tonight for obvious reasons, COVID-19. And Sony Michel, their lead running back. They kind of do a running back by committee in New England, but Sony Michel is a big loss for them. Yeah, without Sony, it's that downhill running game that you're going to miss, but Rex Burkhead does a great job of filling in. He's uber versatile. He's able to attack you from the backfield in the running game and passing game. But without Cam, it's just going to be a different mentality. You got to go back to that, almost back to the Tom Brady style offense, trying to keep the chains moving through the back. RP. So something old Tom Brady. Dive into that here later on. Certainly, that's some big news for the New England Patriots. Damian Harris also at running back is the guy I wanted to mention because he hasn't played yet this season. He's active here tonight. He's a third of the Patriots camp that thought especially where the apparel partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Definitely want to check that out here as we get some more football weather here as the year gets a bit colder. All right, Shawn, so looking at this game, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Patrick Mahomes a bit to kick things off. Yeah, Cam Patriots have been the story here over the last few days, but we cannot forget what Patrick Mahomes did just a week ago today. So the Ravens defense at the time in the NFL. I mean, they're playing really, really good football. Then Patrick Mahomes shows up, throws for 385 yards, accounts for 5 total touchdowns, 19 of 23 for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns against the blitz. The Ravens had allowed 2 touchdowns overall coming into that game, and then Patrick Mahomes happened. When do you want to be at your best is when you're going against the best. And if there's ever a time for Pat to showcase how good he really is, put a stamp on him being a MVP, a top 4 player in this league, maybe the best quarterback in all of NFL history. It took a night like that. It took a showcase of our offense versus their defense. Obviously, he was able to pick apart their defense numerous times, especially against the aggressiveness of Wink Martindale coming after him time and time again. Pat has been somebody who can always showcase his abilities. He loves to showcase when it's man coverage, and he can pick that blitz apart, which he did numerous times last Monday night. We'd love to see that success again here tonight. And Mahomes has had some success against the New England Patriots in his career. 3 games, averages 310 yards, 2 touchdowns. Of course, got his first win against New England last year in Week 14. Big win out there in Foxborough. Now, if he wants to make it 2 in a row, one key area and one huge matchup I want to watch here tonight is third down. And you look at the Chiefs, we could more 10 of 13 on third down, 77%. Absolutely incredible how they were able to move the chains over and over again. That Baltimore defense is used to getting off the and all the Chiefs did was move the chains over and over again. Now, what's interesting here is New England has allowed just 10 third down conversions all season. So they've allowed opponents through 3 weeks to convert 10 of 27 third down conversions. That's tied for the fewest in the NFL. Something has to give here tonight. I would say it's going to the Patriots. The one thing that we do so efficiently is that most teams think if you can get somebody into a 3rd and long situation, that their percentages of converting goes way down. On the Chiefs, when it's more than 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, it's almost like we perform even better when it's longer distance. You're giving Pat more room to work with. So the mentality of a 3rd and long is something that most coordinators kind of veer away or fear from. It's something that we actually encourage. We are okay with 3rd and 13, 3rd and 14s because the success rate on us attacking down the field is higher and higher. The down and distance gets long. Weapons we can get the ball, let
throw the ball. He's such an accurate guy when it comes to delivering the ball. It's just pitch and catch, and usually ends up being a convert 1st and 10 Kansas City.
I'm glad you mentioned those long third downs because I have the numbers to prove it here. So here's some of the third downs that Chiefs converted last week against the Ravens. 3rd and 5, 5 times. 3rd and 6, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, and a 3rd and 14. That was, of course, a touchdown to McCole Hardman, 49-yard bomb. They converted all of those. Mahomes was 9 of 10 for 104 on third. Ridiculous. If the third down success here tonight is another matchup I think is worth watching, is these Chiefs pass catchers who are so electric, so good with the ball in their hands, against this Patriots secondary, which is one of the best secondaries in the NFL.
Yeah, Coach Greg Lewis does a great job. Our receivers always work to finish. And that's not only on passing routes, also in the running game. Every running play has an opportunity to be a touchdown if it's blocked the right way. And a lot of the key blocks are made by our wide receivers and tight ends down the field on the 2nd and 3rd level. So he's very aggressive with our receivers. And then when you become that aggressive, it makes you even more potent when it's play action pass. And it's time to attack downfield vertically with our passing game. So our receivers are, the pass, and you know top end speed, Hardman, Cheetah, and go in a blink.
Now, kind of what you mentioned a bit ago is there's so many different guys who can catch the ball on this team. And look at last week. I mean, 5 different guys had 60 or more receiving yards. That doesn't even include Eric Fisher and Anthony Sherman, who are apparently receivers now. But 5 guys with 60 or more receiving yards. We know Bill Belichick loves to take your away, and he forces you to beat him with other guys on the field. But when the so many guys that can do things with the ball in their hands, it makes that strategy difficult.
Yeah, you look at our top receivers last year. I think our team in reception the entire year. You see Kelsey 5 times, you see Tyreek Hill 5 times, you saw McCole, you see Robinson once or twice. And so when you have an offense that can always just turn the page, whatever you want to take away from us, at some point in the game, you have to showcase your hand on defense. Take Tyreek Hill. Okay, Will, we have McCole, we have Zeus, we got Clyde, Hilaire, Edwards out the backfield. We have so many other ways to still go vertical, still let the passing game go, keep the chains moving. And then we also have a running game. You try to take the passing game away, we can run the ball. So to be a offense is so various in the ways we attack a defense. The take our strength away philosophy that teams like Belichick try to do against us, it almost plays into our hands because we're so versatile.
Yeah, it's definitely a good problem to have if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. Just guys everywhere on the field that can do a lot of things with the ball in their hands. Now, this Patriots secondary, like I've said, it's really good. I mean, Stephon Gilmore is the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. The McCourty twins, lots of playmakers in the secondary, but a secondary doesn't operate in a vacuum. I mean, if a defense is one unit working together, and the pass rush plays into that. And you mentioned something earlier this week about this Patriots pass rush that I found really interesting. They only have 5 sacks on the year, but they're finding different ways to impact the game based on how they're rushing.
The Patriots defense, they key themselves on finding the launch point. And the launch point is, where does a quarterback end up throwing the ball? He might drop back 8 yards, but this launch point, once he steps up into the pocket, ends up being 5 yards. And so what you see from the Patriots end, they're not really extremely encouraged about just being edge rushers, trying to climb the 8 yards to swipe at the ball. What they want to do is take a few hard steps up the field, and then they want to do an inside rush because they want to meet Pat Mahomes when he's throwing the ball, possibly to make him short-arm it, not be able to step fully into his throw, because most pass throwers, when they can't step into a throw, the ball tends to go high. Overthrows. That leads to interceptions and turnovers. So they're not always so interested in creating sacks to long yardage or to create negative plays. They want turnovers. They're always ball hawking, punching the ball out, trying to get tips, trying to pierce the pocket instead of collapse the pocket.
Future defensive coordinator here. I'm certain of it. I think it's a really interesting observation, and it shows how a box score doesn't tell the whole story. I mean, you could look at 5 sacks for this Patriots defense. You think their pass rush isn't very good, but they're doing a lot of different things trying to impact this game. And, of course, Bill Belichick, one of his defenses, it's always going to put pressure on your offense. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm certainly though, just by how the Chiefs played against the Ravens defense last week. I know it's a different scheme. They're trying to do different things, but that was one of the best defenses in the NFL, and the Chiefs went there and tore it apart, essentially. So that's certainly encouraging if you're a Chiefs fan. All right, Shawn, let's flip things over to the Patriots offense now. And there's a lot to unpack here, especially at quarterback. And let's just start from the very beginning. And we touched on this earlier in the show. But no Tom Brady for the first time in 20 years. I mean, 2 decades, that offense goes through Tom Brady. I mean, he was as much a part of that offense planning what it's going to be as Josh McDaniels or anybody else. So he's gone now. He's in Tampa Bay, and they replace him with Cam Newton, who couldn't be more different than Tom Brady in terms of his skill set. And he's played pretty well so far this season. I mean, they could be 3-0 if he had scored against the Seattle Seahawks at the goal line as time expired. They're 2-1. He still played pretty well, though. But no Cam Newton tonight. It's Brian Hoyer, presumably. Totally different quarterback than Cam Newton. So let's just go through what Brian Hoyer has done here in his career. And again, he's expected to be the starter here this evening. There he is there on your screen. 12-year veteran, played for 7 different teams. I think Chiefs fans remember Brian Hoyer from that AFC wildcard game back in 2015. He threw 4 interceptions, and the Chiefs got their first postseason victory in 20 years. Obviously a big game for Chiefs Kingdom. I'll never forget that. Hoyer has played 10 games since then, started 10 games. He's lost all 10. And his last win was quite a while ago. So Brian Hoyer, not a lot of success lately in his NFL career, but he's been around a long time. I mean, the moment's not too big for him. So Shawn, my long-winded question for you in this is, when you're changing your scheme so much for different players at quarterback, Tom Brady to Cam Newton, now to Brian Hoyer, what are you expecting from this Patriots offense tonight?
I expect them to be very vanilla out the gate. They want to get him into a rhythm. Bootlegs, short throws, outs, slants. Not really going vertical unless it's zero coverage where it's just a 50-50 ball. Not having them trying to throw into tight windows. Trying to keep them out of 3rd and longs, because our defense is known when you get in 3rd and longs, we bring the pressure, we come after you. And so trying to use the running game to keep him in very manageable downs until he gets his rhythm, until he gets his feet under him. And then in the second half, to win the game, to try to keep the game close, you might see him open up the playbook a little bit more. But originally, man, I think it's going to be one of those games where he just hands it off, ground and pound, try to keep the sticks moving, try to keep the ball out of Pat Mahomes' hand as much as possible. But I don't really see them trying to put the game on Brian Hoyer's shoulders to try to win it like we've seen in the first couple of weeks the Patriots do it with Cam Newton. Just more of that Tim Tebow style, quarterback keepers, quarterback sweeps. The is such a big when you're dealing with Cam Newton. Brian Hoyer is going to be a little bit different beast. He's going to use his mindset and his mental experience to always have the offense in a good position.
I think you're absolutely right. I don't foresee Brian Hoyer 50 times tonight, and that running game has been their bread and butter. But quickly, I want to touch on their receiving core and just get your thoughts on them. Really, Julian Edelman and N'Keal Harry are their 2 big receivers. Each of those guys has 15 grabs this year. Edelman, of course, is Mr. Patriot. He's been he was really synced up with Tom Brady. Still kind of developing that with Cam Newton, and now we'll see what he does with Hoyer here tonight. 259 receiving yards for Edelman on the year. That leads the team. What do you make of this receiving core in New England? Man,
Julian Edelman is a guy, if you let him free release and him and the quarterback get on the same page early, they can create some momentum and keep the chains moving. What I see with Edelman is this: he's a crafty slot receiver who has a way to really dominate that 0 to 10 yard space over the middle of the field. So really rerouting them, getting your hands on them, putting them hits on him. He's been a little dinged a couple weeks, so you got to make it a physical game for him, because he gets gritty as the game gets longer and gets longer. He can make some phenomenal catches. He has great hands. He has a football mind, and he has a knowledge because he used to be a quarterback, so he knows where those holes are in zone defenses. So I would attempt for the Chiefs defense is to really try to beat him up at the line. Let's be really physical with him and Harry and see if they can get off the jam, work their way downfield, to really see if them and Hoyer can get on the same page when it comes to throwing those timing routes.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Hoyer throwing the football. Certainly has options, but like we discussed, they're going to run the ball. Running the ball is what the Patriots do, and they've been really efficient at it this season. They actually lead the league in rushing yards through three weeks, so 534 rushing yards for them this year. Also lead the NFL in rushing touchdowns through week 3 with 7. So they run the ball a lot, and what's so interesting about them is they don't really have a workhorse. They don't have one guy that gets all the yards for them. They have of guys that do it, and now Cam Newton and Sonny Michel are obviously a big part of that, so missing them is huge for the Patriots, but they also have Rex Burkhead, J.J. Taylor, Damian Harris, lots of different guys that can run the ball for this team.
Yeah, and that ball, but also coming out the backfield, catching slant routes, catching arrow routes, catching swing passes. Definitely just allowing Hoyer, like I said, to get in the rhythm of not really having to throw the ball vertically too much, not having to throw it beyond 20 yards, but, a little dink and dunk, try to keep the chains moving. Of course, like we said, keep the ball away from Pat Mahomes, and our exciting, explosive offense has to be part of the offensive game plan for the New England Patriots.
Now, they're coming in trying to do that, but it's much easier said than done, right? And look what the Ravens did last week. The Ravens, they wanted to just punch the Chiefs in the mouth all night, but look what the Chiefs did defensively. I mean, Lamar Jackson just 180 scrimmage yards. That was the second worst outing of his career. And then that three-headed monster at running back we talked so much about before the game, Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, and J.K. Dobbins, all really good running backs. None of those guys had more than 40 yards on the ground. So love seeing that last week. Would love seeing it again this week.
I think if Belichick looks at the film last week, he would say, stay with the run. He would have begged the Baltimore Ravens just to continue, no matter what the point spread was, no matter what the lead for the Chiefs point of the game. They needed to stay with the run, no matter what it turns out. Whether the Chiefs are up by double digits in the, they're going to all game one, maybe a 10-point game going into the last to give them a chance to win. Hopefully, our offense can continue to stay hot, continue to push the quickly. And the one thing that we've seen Pat Mahomes some because he's MVP here, Super Bowl champion, and next, the part of his game that I've seen the most growth has been his underneath his players to go make plays. I think better than any quarterback in the league.
It truly makes it in my opinion. If you can go over the top, you can go underneath, you can attack this defense anywhere. But circling back just really quickly to the Patriots offense and their commitment to the running game, I think that's right, because all they want to do is get 4-yard gain after 4-yard gain. And if you look at the number, 51% of their rushing attempts this season have gained at least 4 yards. That's 30. And then, of course, 250 rushing yards for the Patriots against Las Vegas. They're going to run the ball over and over and over again, no doubt about it. And we a bit already, but with no Cam Newton, how does having Hoyer back there change how to run the ball effectively?
Well, the RPO game really is kind of thrown out, and then you don't have to worry about the one thing with always had to have hanging backsides, naked boot from Lamar, or a running game. Once the running back went strong, that cutback, as we saw him do against the Washington Redskins this week. I mean, when he cuts down the middle of the defense. He can go for 6 in a heartbeat. I mean, he's one of the fastest guys on the field. It's not that beast. He's a whole different mind frame to attack. You don't have to worry about him scrambling or running, but just to create a little bit and throwing the ball down. And our pass rush has a much better chance of getting to him, even if he does hold on to the ball. So I would see him, just handing the ball off, trying to that quick game, stops, out routes, maybe some tight end wide receiver screens, running back screens, just different things to keep the ball from having to be pushed into the secondary. We have a tendency to get our hands on balls on our side of on our defense, and we have ball hawks of our own who do a great job of turning a pick into a pick six.
This defense is to show that last year from week 11 through the end of the they were the best defense in the NFL. Early in the year, this year, they probably said they could play better. And what did they do last week? They just played the best Ravens. So excited. They're going to scheme tonight. Excited to see how this defense act. Shawn, let's take a quick look around the NFL. Wrapping up tonight's show. We'll look at the AFC West yesterday first. First, Chargers at Bucs. Justin Herbert, another solid game for him. 300 yards, but they lose to a hamstring injury. A 24 lead. Fall to Tom Brady and the Bucs.
Overcome that injury to Eckler, even though they had the two guys backing them up, definitely did a great job of stepping up, showcasing they are NFL, Jackson. And when it came to Tom Brady and it came to Justin Herbert, I think Herbert actually outplayed Tom Brady on one level. It's just that Tampa Bay showed that they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. Mike Evans still played a great game. I think he had 2 touchdowns in the game. And OJ, he had a touchdown. He got hurt at the end of the game. It's still Tom Brady are not finding that comfort Everybody thought it was going to be just a turning back the page to how they was. They're still not really connecting on a level, but Tom Brady did what he had to do to come back after being down by 2, scoring 3 times in a row to put him out in front, and they was able to hold on to that lead versus the Chargers.
Yeah, the Bucs look pretty good so far, particularly and now they're 3 straight. Looking at Bills and Raiders yesterday, Bills rallied, but ultimately was not enough. Vegas is 2-2. The Bills are 4-0. And what's interesting about both of these teams, we'll see each of them here in the next 11 days.
Man, Josh Allen is he's making a slow push. He's opening that MVP talk. Wilson, they talk about Pat Mahomes. Josh Allen is kind of the door saying, hey, man, look at my stats. You might have to consider. So, and the young man is doing his thing. You got to take your hat off to Sean McDermott, another one of Coach Reed's. From the coaching tree of Coach Reed, he's definitely turned that environment around. Bills might going to be recognized here, and I think they might be one of the top 3 teams in the AFC this year.
I mean, good for them. Good for the Buffalo Bills is a good team in the AFC. It feels right. That should be a fun game on Thursday Night Football. Patrick Mahomes. That one, of course, got to take care of business here against the Patriots and the Raiders first. That should be a fun game. Also, it's a Monday Night Football doubleheader tonight. I want to ask you about Falcons at Packers. Packers are 3-0, probably, if not probably the second best after Seattle. As always, is talented. Injuries, though, and some tough luck. They're 0-3.
Man, if you look at the stats, the Falcons and the Green Bay Packers, you would think it was 2 teams because of the amount of offensive fire. Of course, Green Bay, without unless Devontae is able to play, Lazard he had an injury. But Aaron Jones has been able to definitely raise up his level of play on the ground and through the air. And that defense, the Green Bay defense, underappreciated, unrecognized defenses. And then you look at the Atlanta Falcons. They can score a bunch of points, but they can't score anybody. Green Bay, I think, is a team that I have to kind of favor going into that Monday night late game.
I think you're right. Calvin Ridley, though, on the Falcons, he's played. I want to mention one thing, too, before we wrap up for tonight's show. It is our Crucial Catch game here tonight. Across the league. Important and really exciting because we're honoring or recognizing or remembering people who have been affected by cancer, and that's just about everybody on earth. How by cancer in some way. You can go to Chiefs.com/Crucial Catch. You can print out one of these cards and take a picture of it, put it on social media, use hashtag cancer, and we'll check that out. I did it for my grandma. Her 12 years of the cancer. I think about it all the time. This is an important thing, and it's a chance to hopefully eradicate cancer from the world one day. I look forward to just saying things like early screenings, being aware of what cancers are out there, what you can look for. Those are the things you can find on that website. I think it's quite important. It's a great initiative the NFL supports every single year. All right, Sean, Monday Night Football.
Man, scheme versus skill. There's going to be a lot of skill players out there today, but it's the scheme versus Bill Belichick. It's a game of chess, not checkers. What told me, main thing is still the main thing. You got to go out there, you got to tackle, play, sales, but you got to on it. And what Andy got here in Kansas is a mentality. You guys love and here tonight.
There you go. Game, everybody.